The official Naruto/Boruto website has dropped some extra information about Boruto's Rasengan Uzuhiko. And not only does this upscale the jutsu's power, but it also confirms that Boruto has met with an Otsutsuki that is connected with his Jogan. And that Otsutsuki is Toneri. So in this video, I'll be explaining how this makes a lot of sense and how the moment we have been waiting for may be happening in the future arcs to come. So what exactly has been released? And before I even talk about this, I know that there's going to be a few questions about where this information actually comes from and if this is canon or not. This information was dropped on the Boruto and Naruto official website in the category that is known as the Boruto database. This is quite similar to what we used to get with Naruto back in the days in the form of the data books that were physically printed. With new technology, we now have this online, and they are slowly explaining various abilities that not only have been showing up in Boruto to the Vortex, but abilities and explanation for things that have happened in Boruto Part 1. Its canonicity is not only confirmed by it coming from the official website, but it is also confirmed by the fact that it is linked directly with the volumes and promotional material that is released. However, in today's video, we will simply be focusing on Boruto's Rasengan Uzuhiko, and this is the description that is given in regard to this jutsu. A new form of Rasengan that utilizes not only one's chakra, but also the planet's rotation and orbits, plus the corresponding centrifugal and other forces. In addition to the damage a standard Rasengan causes, it destroys the target's sense of balance, debilitating them in the process. Due to the unceasing nature of planetary movement, the effects of Uzuhiko do not fade, resulting in not just physical harm, but untold psychological damage. Boruto refers to the planet's energy used for Uzuhiko as planet's chakra, but this is not the same as nature energy used by ninjas such as Naruto and Mitsuki when they enter Sage Mode. Now, I will break down the power scaling of this attack later on in the video. However, initially, like a lot of people in the community, I thought that Boruto was able to use the planet's chakra as described due to the fact that he had awakened some sort of sage powers, where he was now able to use the planet's nature energy in some sort of sage way. So the only person that I believe could have taught Boruto about how to use these sage powers, or at least how to use the nature energy coming from the planet, I thought that it was Kashin Koji. Thus, I believe that Kashin Koji was the one who taught Boruto how to use the Rasengan Uzuhiko, or at least just like what happened with Kakashi and Naruto, Kashin Koji helped Boruto develop this jutsu on his own. However, with the information that we are given, it is clear that since this has nothing to do with nature energy, like with Sage Mode, it is unlikely that Kashin Koji has something to do with the creation of the Rasengan Uzuhiko. However, if Kashin Koji didn't have anything to do with this, then just like what the thumbnail, title, and intro seems to suggest, I believe that the most likely candidate for the development of the Uzuhiko is Toneri. Now, if you go back to the premise of Naruto the Last, you would see that Toneri was planning on destroying the earth because he viewed the creatures that lived in it as felt creatures due to the various wars and hatred-filled events that he saw take place. Toneri was then planning on destroying the earth by hurling the moon at such a fast speed that it was going to destroy the planets. This means that Toneri had the ability to control the moon's orbit and control how fast the moon could go in order to destroy planet Earth. This sort of power is quite similar to the description that we are given of Rasengan Uzuhiko, a person being able to take control of a celestial body and using it as a source of his own power. This is what we see Toneri and Boruto do while using their various powers. Even so, I know that the first thing people are going to use to argue against this is by saying that Toneri needed the Tensagon in order to do this, which is why for part of his plan he needed Hanabi. However, this is actually false. Toneri did not need the Tensagon to move the moon or control its orbit and energy. He needed the Tensagon to create new humans and recreate the planet after destroying it. Toneri wasn't simply going to destroy the planet, but he planned on recreating it, starting anew with Hinata. This line of thinking is confirmed by the fact that after Toneri split the moon and Naruto eventually beat him, he ended up losing the Tensagon. But even after that, Toneri is the one who fixes the moon and returns it to its orbit by the end of the movie. Now, since we have no indication that anybody but Toneri could teach Boruto these sorts of abilities, and we also have no indication that Boruto already knew how to use these sorts of abilities, theorizing that Toneri had a part to play in Boruto developing this jutsu isn't a flawed way of thinking and should actually be examined because it matches pretty well with the information that we are given about Boruto in the time skip. Starting off with Code's statements. When discussing why he came to the village, he said that after they fought, where Code ended up beating Sasuke and Boruto, leading to Sasuke being turned into a tree and Boruto running away, Code said that it appeared as if Boruto simply vanished from Earth, and Code could not find him at all, leading to him attacking the village. Why is Code, somebody who had access to the claw grimes and had access to various claw marks that he had placed all over the 5 great nations, not able to find Boruto? Because he was able to do so in the past. So what happened and where was Boruto for Code to have not been able to find him? Maybe he didn't spend all of his time on the planets. I obviously know that he met up with Kashin Koji, don't get me wrong, but with the evidence that we are given, it wouldn't be wrong for us to think that for a period of time, Boruto went to the moon and met with Toneri, who later taught him some of his abilities like controlling celestial objects. Now, before we continue, let's just examine a few things by discussing what we know for sure. So 1, we know that Boruto's Uzuhiko doesn't operate in a similar fashion as powers coming from nature energy. 2, Toneri is the only person we know at the current moment that has abilities that utilizes energy coming from a celestial body. 3, there is a period of time where Code, with all of his hacks and abilities, was still not able to find Boruto. The only information that is unclear is just how it connects with Kashin Koji and the alliance that it appears that they have. However, apart from that, everything makes sense. But continuing on with Toneri's abilities, we know that it is not linked to the Tentagon, so it is definitely something that is teachable. Maybe it is not teachable to somebody who is not an Otsutsuki, but we know that this doesn't apply to Boruto, as he fits this criteria even better than Toneri himself. But one thing I really wonder is whether this is classified as a Shinjutsu or simply a hack's ability. With all the Otsutsukis that we have seen, at least those that have received a good amount of screen time, they all possess at least one ability that is not absorbable and can appear to be some sort of divine miracle. Being able to switch, destroy, and have access to various dimensions, we see that with Kaguya. Being able to stop time and see the future, we see that with Momoshiki. Being able to shrink yourself and non-living things, we see that with Ishiki. However, with all of them, one could argue that it is connected to their dojutsu. But with Toneri, we see that his almost Senjutsu-like ability is not connected to a dojutsu at all, which is why I do believe that this Senjutsu, or at least ability that Toneri possesses, is definitely something that Toneri could teach on to at least somebody who is an Otsutsuki. But Toneri meeting up with Boruto, aside from the connection that we have seen with the Uzuhiko, has a lot more benefits. If you pay attention to the way that Boruto acts in the time skip. After Sasuke got turned into a tree, we see that in chapter 5, we see that Boruto seems to be quite doubtful, somebody who seems to have a low amount of resolve or confidence in himself. We literally see that in the fight versus Code. Although it only lasts a couple of pages, we see that Boruto, who is stronger than Sasuke at the time, but in that fight, Sasuke is the only one with his sword fully intact, while Boruto has his sword broken. Boruto, with all the issues that we see him deal with after Omnipotence and also after losing Sasuke, Toneri may be the one who reinstilled Boruto on his mission and path. As later on in this chapter, we see a beautiful transition with Boruto, who now takes Sasuke's sword with a new resolve. Boruto must have been reminded of his destiny, which has to do with him being the one to protect the world against the calamities to come. This is literally what we see Toneri tell Boruto in the anime when they do make an appearance. And we also see Kashin Koji tell something similar to Boruto when he tells Boruto to be cautious as he holds the fate of the planets. So if he gets consumed, it is over. I don't know if there's going to be changes with Toneri in the anime and the manga, as we know that the manga and the anime don't always align. Like we see Sarada have the 3rd Tomoe Sharingan in the fight versus Boro, but in the anime, she still doesn't have her 3rd Tomoe Sharingan. We could see that potentially in the anime, Toneri is still sealed, while in the manga, Toneri was either never sealed or somehow has been unsealed. there is likely to be some changes. However, the one thing I am 100% confident on is the fact that Toneri will play a big part in the story as the story progresses. Now, when it comes to the power scaling for this attack, Boruto's Rasengan Uzuhiko, it is one that is quite complex, so I'll be taking my time in breaking it down. At first, it was believed that Boruto's Uzuhiko was only utilizing the planet's rotation. Thus, this feat only came to around moon level if you believe that the Naruto planet was the same size as Earth, which it clearly isn't, as the Naruto planet has been capped to around large planetary level. So if you go off the large planetary scaling, you would see that the planet's rotation and Boruto's Rasengan Uzuhiko would be at a planetary tier. If you believe it is the same size of Earth, then you would go with it being moon level, but with the actual calculations that are out there, the Naruto planet is around large planetary level. Thus, the rotation created and the rotation Boruto is using in Rasengan Uzuhiko would come to a planetary tier. This was the consensus that most debaters had when it came to how strong Boruto's Rasengan truly was, as we were taking into account only the planet's rotation. By the way, if you guys want to see some of the calculations and the calcs that I mentioned in this video, it will be linked in the description, as I want to be fully transparent, and if you want to go check it out for yourself, you can see it if you want. However, with the passage that we have discussed in this video, we would know that the Rasengan Uzuhiko doesn't only take on the planetary rotation, it also takes on the planet's orbit, which would mean planet to sun, and the other forces that are associated. By taking this into account, you would see that it would bump up the power of Rasengan Uzuhiko to a whole nother tier. If you believe that the Naruto planet is the size of Earth, then the Rasengan Uzuhiko would now calc to large planetary plus. And with the previous calc that brings the Naruto planet to large planetary level, you would see that it would jump the Rasengan Uzuhiko's power to dwarf star level, which is just incredible to think about. It is pretty crazy now looking back that Code was able to tank this ability, because now if you are stronger than Code, or at least relative to Code, you would now scale above this ability, which would mean that you would now scale above large planetary to dwarf star levels of AP. In addition, another key component of this ability is that it seems to negate physical durability, meaning that it hits the inside instead of just the outside. This is shown in the fact that Code's clothes don't take any damage, we barely even see a scratch. However, he still feels the devastating levels of power from this attack. So for all the power scalers out there, this allows you to prove that even if a character has moves that bypass durability, known as durability negation, they would still need to have an attack that is at least large planetary level or dwarf star level for it to even have an effect. So the Boruto verse is pretty OP, and this is just the beginning of Boruto to Blue Vortex. If you go back and check how strong Naruto was and how strong the verse seemed to be in the beginning of Naruto Shippuden, and then you compare it to the end, you would see that there was a massive jump in power. So this is just the beginning, and if we're already looking at these things like this is crazy, let's just wait and see how strong Boruto and the verse itself will be when we get to the final stages of the series. And I'm very excited to see how strong Boruto will truly get, because what we are seeing right here is absolutely crazy. But I know that a lot of people are not going to be able to accept and understand some of the stuff that I'm discussing later on in the video, so make sure you watch this video right here as I explain the clear power scaling that has to do with Boruto in comparison to the stuff that we have seen in Naruto.